Well, hi once again, everybody. Welcome back to another great edition of the 19th Hole podcast for golfers. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers, and so glad to have you joining us today. Before I forget, and I want to make more mention of this, no matter what medium you're watching us on, whether it's streaming live on our website, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, also yournews.com, which is just click them on, go to their menu, scroll down to the 19th hole, click it on, and you're all set. Give us a like, give us a smile, give us some encouragement. Subscribe if you have to. We always appreciate that, and we hope you take advantage of that. Anyway, we're coming to you as we always do from the fabulous Rigel Studios right in the heart of Las Vegas, just steps away from the iconic Las Vegas strips. And things are getting real good here. Weather's getting good. People are out playing golf, more and more. We have some shows that are finally opening up in the hotel properties. The crowd size are able to get bigger vis-a-vis the good news that we're having here in Southern Nevada with the COVID cases. So we hope wherever you are staying safe, and numbers are getting good for you as well. We've got a fabulous guest on for you today, and if you've been playing golf for any time at all, I'm sure that you will recognize this young lady's name. She has a tremendous record when she was on tour, two-time major champion. We'll talk about that. She's also in a great position now with another tour. She's the CEO of the Legends Tour, and we'll talk about that. So without further ado, because I want to get as much time with her as I can, let's bring up our special guest, and that happens to be Jane Geddes. Jane, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for taking the time, my dear. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dennis. It's great being here. I appreciate the invite.
Oh, my pleasure. Jane is a former LPGA Tour professional, as I mentioned, with a very impressive record after joining the LPGA Tour, I believe, in 1983, if I'm right. Winning two major championships, and 11 LPGA Tour events. She has 14 in all worldwide. And Jane, somebody asked me what two majors that she won. All right, I'm going to tell you. You don't know what two majors she's won? Come on. The Women's PGA Championship and the U.S. Women's Open. That's what she's won, okay? Jane is now the CEO of the LPGA Legends Tour, which, of course, we will explore and talk a lot about during the show. Prior to joining the Legends Tour, Jane held a number of very interesting positions, such as Executive Director of the LPGA Amateur Golf Association and Executive Director of the International Association of Golf Administrators. I don't even know what the hell that's about. What is that? What is that, Jane? What's that entail?
It's pretty simple. It's an association of associations. So I was sort of the association of all those state and regional golf associations.
Got it.
Right? So the Nevada State Golf Association was a member of the IAGA.
Got it.
Southern California Golf Association was a member of the IAGA.
Got it. Okay, so that's a lot of people that you were involved with, obviously.
It was.
That's great.
I've kind of been around the golf industry at this point, right?
Jane spent 5 years at the World Wrestling Entertainment, more commonly known, of course, as the WWE, as Senior Vice President of Talent Relations and Live Events. That must have been a whole lot of fun. If that's not enough, Jane also pursued a law degree from Stetson University of Law. I believe, if I'm guessing correctly, Jane, in Gulfport, Florida?
It was. Yes, it is.
What made you go to law school?
I finished playing, and I retired from the tour, and I wanted to finish. First of all, I had to finish up my undergraduate degree. I went to Florida State and didn't finish, and so I had always had that as a goal to finish. And while I was finishing up my undergrad, law school was always sort of something that I aspired to. So it was a perfect time in my life. I wasn't doing anything. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do.
Right.
And it was a good segue. And I always say that, when I stopped playing, I could open up a lot of doors being Jane Geddes, the golfer, but I felt like I needed a way to kind of hold them open. And I felt like, especially starting out after retiring, that going to law school and getting a law degree was a great way to accomplish that.
Absolutely. Well, are you in a position now, Jane? I recently got a speeding ticket. Can you help me out?
I can refer you to
Oh,
somebody.
you can refer me to somebody. Okay. All right. But I think that's absolutely great. Jane, of course, has won and has gotten many awards and recognitions, as you can imagine. As an example, Jane was honored by the Sports Business Journal as one of the game changers. I love that. Women in sports business. Also, Jane received one of 2013's Most Powerful and Influential Women Awards from the National Diversity Center, which is awesome to have. Jane resides in a great place to live and to play golf, and that is Tampa, Florida. What made you decide to settle down in Tampa, Jane?
Well, it's so back in somewhere around 2000, I was living in San Diego, and my parents lived in the Tampa area, and they were ill at the time, and I thought, well, okay, San Diego's pretty far away from Florida,
Yeah.
so decided to move to Tampa, sort of as a stop on the way. Got here and had never really spent very much time in Tampa except for just to visit my parents, and realized this is a pretty great place to live.
Yeah.
So we lived here for about 6 or 7 years. Then I moved to Connecticut to work for WWE, and Tampa became home. And so it's a pretty booming town right now. I'm happy to be here, and great sports town right now. We've had
Wonderful.
an amazing sports year.
Yeah.
Through all the down time this year,
Yep.
we've had an amazing sports year. So that's been great for the city.
No, that's great. I know other people that live in Tampa, and they absolutely love it. Who was your favorite talent? Who was your favorite guy in the WWE?
Well, okay, so I think I'm a little bit biased because Triple H was my boss, actually. Paul Levesque is his actual name.
Uh-huh.
And he oversaw all the talent and live events and creative writing and everything. And so Paul ended up being my boss. And so I'm definitely partial to the Triple H character, and he and Steph McMahon, were a great team there of both characters and behind the scenes, great people to work for and with. And it was a cool 4 or 5 years that I put in there. It was really, really an interesting place to work.
Oh, it had to be. Did you attend many of the events, of the matchups?
Yeah, I had to go to pretty much every Monday night live Raw show. The Monday Night Raw, Monday Night Live, Raw, Monday Night Raw Live is the name of the show. I can't even say it. And then we used to tape our SmackDown show on Tuesdays, so I would go Monday and Tuesday of every week.
Okay. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Good
so
for
it was a lot
you.
of travel. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, let me start off and ask you this, Jane. What do you see as the biggest hurdle in getting more money for larger purses for the LPGA? Is it perception? Is it television? Quality of product? Drawing power, or something else? What do you see as the biggest hurdle?
That's a great question. Part of me wants to say there shouldn't be a hurdle, because I really truly think that the LPGA has a great product. I think to get to know the LPGA and get to know the LPGA players is to love the LPGA, and I know that because when people have the opportunity to either play in a pro-am or really connect with LPGA players, they come away saying, wow, that was nothing like I thought it was going to be. What, from the quality of the golf to the quality of the people to the experience. And so when you're talking about that, there's a lot of equality there, right? unfortunately, we live in a man's world, especially in sports. Doesn't matter what
Right.
sport it is, right? This is the ongoing conversation of
Right.
equality in sports. Tennis achieved it a while ago. And part of that reason was they play their majors on the same location. So there's the opportunity to have that crossover that you don't know whether who's drawing who there. Are more people going to watch Serena or more people going to watch Rafa Nadal? Yeah, I mean, it's arguable, right?
Right.
Whereas women's golf and men's golf, we have operated in separate sort of universes a little bit. And so there's that challenge when you're talking about equality, especially as it relates to purses. Now, we had big news today that Mike Wan is the new incoming CEO of the USGA. Mike clearly has spent the last 11 years as the biggest proponent and supporter and proved that women's golf can really get on the map. And
That's
so
right.
I think for women's golf right now, probably one of the best things that could have happened is for Mike to take over the helm of the USGA. I think it's going to be an exciting time for everyone involved because Mike is the leader that
Yeah.
it was the right choice.
What do you look for? What should the qualities of a new commissioner for the LPGA be in your mind?
Yeah, Mike it's going to be tough shoes to fill. Mike was a very unique person and personality in that role. I was fortunate to work for Mike for a number of years and was there actually when he arrived at the LPGA. And so he became a very good friend and mentor. And his style of management and style of sales and promotion and everything that he's great at is very unique. So the good news is that the LPGA he's left the LPGA in a great position. So I think it is strong. I think it is, he was always very forward thinking.
Right.
So I think the new person that comes in needs to create their own culture and their own
Yeah.
personality at the LPGA. The basis now is there. The base is there. Act like a founder, and what that stands for is in everybody's heart that works there. So I think the new person, is going, like I said, they're going to take over a great business,
Yeah.
and the sky's the limit.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you. Think you're ever going to get somebody like another Carol Bivens in that slot again?
Maybe. It's funny. I worked for Carolyn. Carolyn hired me at the LPGA, and Carolyn was a little ahead of her time. I mean, what she believed that the LPGA and the players deserved is ultimately what Mike believed as well.
Yeah.
They just had their style was different. The way they went about it was different. So, who knows? Is it time for a woman at the LPGA? I mean, I think the time is probably was a while ago, but it still is. And I
Yeah.
think whoever's qualified, I don't think it matters if it's a man or a woman at this point.
I agree.
I'm not biased either way on that. I
Yeah.
don't think it makes a difference in, oh, it must be a woman. I don't feel that way at all.
How do you feel about if I throw your name in the ring?
I don't know. I mean, thank you. That would be very nice of you to throw it in, but it's a big, big job. It's a big job and big shoes to fill. So
Yeah.
I wish whoever gets that job, like I said, I think the tour will be, they'll do a great job of selecting who that person is. Mike is still going to be there during that process. So I think
Yeah.
it'll all work out.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. Let me ask you this, Jane, get right to the point. Do you think the American tour players are ever going to dominate again on tour? Because I don't think they will.
I think American players will dominate, but I think when you look at groups of players, it's very challenging to figure out who's going to dominate. And this has been true with the LPGA back when Ayako Okamoto came from Japan and the Japanese players followed. Lisa Lott Neumann came from Sweden
Yeah.
and the Swedish players followed. Seiri Pak came from South Korea and the South Korean players followed. That has been the LPGA for years and years and years. And so where the next group will come from, we don't know. There's a great group. It came from Australia. Kari Webb came from Australia.
Yeah.
Same thing happened. We don't know what that is going to be. Might it be the USA dominating? It could. I think though, when you think of why the different sort of factions have succeeded, a lot of that has to do with sort of the national support that a lot of those groups received, right? When,
Totally.
if you were a
Totally.
great golfer in Sweden or in
Totally.
Australia or in Korea, those countries rally around those players and make sure they have the resources to
Right.
succeed.
Right.
It doesn't, that's not the culture and what happens in the United States.
Correct.
A little bit of that is unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
how the USG operates, and it's that, we fall under those rules and regulations, and so I think that affects it.
I agree. I think that's well said. Let me ask you this, and then we'll take our first break, Jane. Pundits talk about a rivalry now, on the PGA Tour, how it's good. Any on the LPGA Tour now, and do you think if there was a true rivalry that developed on the LPGA Tour, that would help things in general?
I don't know. People said it. We had a huge rivalry with Annika and Kari Webb
Yeah.
years ago, and it was okay. I don't think it drove interest so much. I think when people play great golf, it drives interest. People right now are very interested in the Cordes sisters, and they're playing very well, and they have great golf swings, and they're great players, and them playing together, kind of like the Venus and Serena kind of thing, right?
Yes.
I think the rivalry might be a little overrated. I think when you create human interest stories, and that's what the LPGA has always strived to do, is create interest stories around their players, then I think you bring interest to the tour.
Yeah.
Equally as much.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the rivalry is, if it's going to be there, it's going to be there, and people make of it what they want. But again, it's the quality of play that really should be the byproduct of everything. All right, Jane, we're going to step away. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to have more with our great guest, Miss Jane Geddes. So stay with us. We're going to return right after this.
As golfers, we want instant gratification when it comes to a better golf swing and playing better golf. Impossible, you say? Not anymore. Golf Boost Artificial Intelligence, AI, has developed and patented the most advanced swing analysis technology in golf. Simply, the algorithms detect your body position and then analyze your golf swing using their artificial intelligence technology. The AI captures all the relevant data from your swing video and then presents you a personalized lesson. Golf Boost AI is the ultimate swing analysis and virtual instruction system for golfers of all ages and abilities. This sophisticated software takes into consideration your height and build, playing level, and returns the ideal solution for your swing. Bottom line, Golf Boost AI is an incredibly convenient and cost-effective tool for golfers to improve their swing. Go to golfboost.com and check it out. The app is free to download and try. Visit golfboost.com today.
When it comes to golf, I'm a man of few words, as you'll see. Looking for out-of-this-world technology in your golf ball? Encore Golf. Looking for exceptional performance and durability? Encore Golf. Looking for the best performing ball for the price? Encore Golf. Check them out at Encore Golf, that's ONCORE golf.com. Your scores will thank you. All right, welcome back in, everybody. And before we continue with Jane, do yourself a favor. Go to golfboost.com. It is an amazing concept to help you almost instantly help you swing the golf club a little bit better through the amazing analysis that they have with this A1 thing. I'm not that smart to understand it, but they have figured it out. So just do yourself a favor and check it out. You'll be glad that you did. Anyway, back with our conversation with Jane Geddes, who's the CEO of the Legends Tour. And Let me ask you this, Jane. What would be the biggest motivation for an LPGA player to want to play on the Legends Tour? And secondly, what are you doing to entice more players to get on the Legends Tour?
Well, let me just start here by kind of a little definition of the Legends Tour. It's a little bit of a misnomer saying that we're a tour, okay? Truly, we are the legends of the LPGA. That's what we are. And my job is to create an environment where players 45 and over can look forward to playing in some events throughout the calendar year, whether it is a tournament, a full official tournament where it's a stroke play event with 3 or 4 days, all the way to a pro-am that is a fundraiser in a community or for a charity or whatnot. So, the Legends Tour was started about 24 years ago or so, 25 years ago. And it was really started by a group of players that thought, you know what are we all going to do when we're 45? We don't have the Champions Tour. We didn't have that. And so they all got together and they said, you know what, let's put something together, an entity together, so that we can have something to do and have something to have fun with, when we get to be 45 and over. So that's really what it is. My job is really to see if I can enhance those opportunities and grow our schedule in all different ways and grow those opportunities. We had some good momentum last year. But COVID kind of put a stop to that.
Yeah.
And so we're starting again this year fresh and looking forward to, to getting the word out there that we're still around and we're ready to, come to people's communities and play some golf.
For people that aren't that familiar with the Legends, tell our listeners and viewers all around what that is, what kind of a tournament you put on, how many days is it, the format, so on and so forth, typically the type of player that shows up and stuff like that.
Great, sure. So an official tournament, which would be, say, a 3-day tournament, including at plus a pro-am or day or two. So say a 4 to 5 day event would be our unofficial event. There's a minimum of 40 players that would come play. It would be a stroke play event, just like any other, an LPGA event or a PGA event or a Champions Tour event. Beyond that, we have, like I said, other sort of playing opportunities. We call them challenge events or pro-ams. A challenge event might be an event where we have, let's say, teams. We might have 20 teams of 2 players where we have 40 players. We go out, we play, whether it's a stroke play or whether we do a match play or whatever. Very flexible on those kind of formats, right? So when I go out and I talk about the Legends, I'm really very flexible. It's really about what do people want? What are they interested in? The players that play on our tour are some of the, the all-time greats. We have 15 Hall of Famers, from Nancy Lopez to Joanne Carter to Kathy Whitworth to Beth Daniel, Meg Mallon, Patty Sheehan, Pat Bradley, Jane Stevenson.
Wow.
I can, all the names right? And many others who aren't Hall of Famers and players out of my era of play that I believe is one of the greatest eras. You're talking about all these names that I mentioned, plus others are they're in the LPGA and Golf World Hall of Fames and are players that people watched on TV for a lot of years and still play some great golf, by the way. So it's so it's a matter of getting out there and reminding people that we're still around. Going to communities where we used to have events is always helpful, where places like Rochester, New York, or Corning, New York, or Seattle or Portland, where those are places where we used to have some great success. And so, I'm trying to get back into those places and talk to people and see if we can, bring those players back and kind of reminisce on the good old days.
Absolutely. And Jane and I have been talking, and we're going to do what we can, because I think you agree, Jane, that Las Vegas would be a fantastic place, a fantastic showcase to get you guys out here for an event. We've got a lot of terrific golf courses. We've got some great hospitality, as you know. So we're going to put our heads together and see if we can get something going out here. By the way, do you play in any of the events, Jane?
I do. I play. I mean, I don't play in all of them. I play in a few. We've been very fortunate we're about on the fourth year of the U.S. Senior Women's Open. The USGA started a Senior Women's Open about 4 years ago. And so I play in that every year. That's sort of the highlight of my year. To be able to go back and play in an Open is something I don't want to pass up while I'm still qualified.
Absolutely, sure.
So I do that. I play in our senior LPGA. We have two majors. We have a senior LPGA championship and we have a senior women's open. So I try to play in those. And then, if I can play in the other events or fundraisers that might not be part of the Legends Tour, I try to play. I don't get to play too often, but when I do, it's always the solace of being out on the golf course I love.
Yeah, I can see you're sandbagging me already when you come out because we're gonna play. No strokes for you, young lady.
Oh no, we're gonna be a team, right?
Yeah, we are. We are going to be a team. Yeah, we are going to be a team. We are. All right, Jane, we're going to step away again, take another short break, and we're going to bring you our swing improvement tip with Adam Bazalgett, who's a phenomenal teacher in South Florida. And then we'll go to a commercial break, and we'll come back, and we'll have more with Jane Geddes. So we're going to be right back with you. Stay with us.
Well, hi there, Adam Bazalgett here from Scratch Golf Academy with another swing improvement tip for the 19th hole podcast for golfers. Today, let's talk a little bit about the downward hit. I've got an 8-iron here. How much should you hit down? Well, very, very slightly. About 4 to 5 degrees. That's less than the tick of a single stroke of a second hand on a clock. So here's the thing you've got to remember. The club itself, in total, should not, at the moment of contact, be going down. It should be running level to the ground by this time, even slightly. The handle will be rising away from the turf. So how do we get this downward hit? We get it with shaft lean. So we should have enough shaft lean that builds in downward hit that we can slightly reduce or mitigate it by gliding the handle along the level of the ground. Great tip I like to use. Here's an 8-iron. Any kind of short iron would be good. I've teed 2 balls up higher than I would on a par 3, but not high. My goal is to clip a couple of little shots, picking them off the tee, so I'm not slamming down, but tilting the face forward enough to hit them as low as I can. It's just tilting the club that way. Let's give it a go. That's the idea. So I get the sense of the club level to rising, but the face and the shaft leaning forward. Perfect, nice little low. And stick with this drill. You get the feel it will really help you with your iron game.
Dr. Christopher Choi has long been recognized as one of the top concierge doctors in Las Vegas. Dr. Choi and the entire staff at Comprehensive Wellness Center have earned the reputation of unsurpassed medical care and service to all of their patients. In a continuing effort to always advance his practice, Dr. Choi is now offering an additional service to his current patients, as well as new patients. It's the latest, most advanced laser therapy treatment available. It's true being in great physical health is very important, but so is the mental boost you get when you know you look your best. Whether you want to lose those wrinkles, diminish those acne scars, decrease pigmentation, skin tightening or permanent fat reduction, this procedure is the answer. You'll have peace of mind knowing there is no actual surgery and no downtime. You just get results with these amazing laser treatments. You might wonder if it hurts? The answer is no. All you feel is a slight tingly feeling during the procedure. You'll love the results. Call Comprehensive Wellness Center at 702-463-8080.
All right, I told you we're coming back, and we are back because we got to finish up with our great interview with former LPGA Tour, terrific player, Jane Geddes. And Jane, when you were on tour, what did you consider the strongest part of your game, number one? And when that particular part started going south, what did you do to get it into the house?
So I was a good ball striker. In particular, I drove the ball well. So that was the big advantage for me. I drove it fairly long and pretty straight. I always hit a fade, and so that was sort of to my advantage that I was able to hit a fade and control it and hit it long enough. So, if I had a very, very basic swing, I still do, a very basic swing and swing thought. I wasn't a really big range rat. I wasn't a person that hit a lot of golf balls. I played a lot on feel, and I felt like I had really, really strong fundamentals. So for me, when things would go wrong, I would head to the golf range and I'd go all the way back to, square one with my swing and start with my fundamentals, start with the basics. And again, I was fortunate enough that I had a simple enough golf swing and golf thoughts that I just never made it too complicated. So I think ball striking was, that was really my advantage. Now, on the flip side, putting and my short game was my challenge. And that was where I really had to put more work in and really pay more attention to my game.
Yeah, well, and of course that's an essential part of the game for scoring. Obviously, for everybody is your short game. Do you think you brought up an interesting point, Jane? I want to ask you: do you think you're better off in the long run, having really good swing mechanics, or having really good feel in your golf game?
That's a tough one. I think that I was able to rely on my feel because I had good, simple fundamentals. So I think golf is such a hard game that if you don't know the fundamentals, if you don't have the fundamentals, and have some ability to apply them, it's really hard. It's just hard to play well and very frustrating, right? You can have all the feel you want, right? There are great athletes that come out of a lot of retired athletes. They say, oh, I'm going to play golf and I'll be good enough. I'll play on tour, until they get out and they really try to play and keep score and figure out how difficult it is.
Right.
So I think it's a combination. I don't think it's any one thing really.
Yeah, if you could have both, it's terrific, obviously. And I talk about this with a lot of the guys as far as the mental acuity of tour players, whether that's really necessary to have that on point. You could still play good golf without it, but I never was a believer in the mental game until recently, a few years back, and just really now realizing how really important it is. Has the women's tour changed, Jane, as much as, say, the PGA Tour, with respect to equipment, with respect to venues, with respect to players' abilities, with respect to growing the game and its popularity?
Yes, and yes. So I'm a perfect example of equipment, right? So I have a fairly decent new set of clubs right now. And I rarely play, and I'm talking, once every 3 months or so, unless I'm, kind of getting ready for a tournament.
Yeah.
And I hit the ball. I don't drive the ball as long, even though I drive it okay still, but I hit my irons the same distance that I did when I was on tour.
Wow.
And that should be impossible. That's impossible.
Yeah.
I don't have, right. So I don't have the golf muscles. I don't have any of that, but the equipment and the balls make that possible. So you asked me about the tour, and, first of all, the equipment is what it is. Secondly, the players are so fit.
Yeah.
And they're strong, they're fit, they're doing all the right things with their bodies to get the most out of their swings. And typically speaking, because women aren't as strong as men, our fundamentals have always had to be better. So a lot of times when amateur golfers will watch us play, they'll be able to emulate what we do, and should emulate, because we're getting the most out of our golf swings. We have to have a little more technically correct golf swings
Great
because
point.
we're not as strong as men. So the players now, the golf courses are set up, way longer than they used to be. I mean, they're set up at, 66, 67, 68, 6,900 yards now for the women. That's long.
That's
These
long.
girls they're hitting it long. They're playing great golf, shooting really low scores. So I think, for the average person watching that sort of play, it's fun. It's exciting, and just like with the men's tour, I mean, it's exciting, I mean, it's fun to watch people hit the ball a long way and hit great golf shots.
Yeah.
It's kind of part of it.
Yeah, that's why
So.
nobody ever watches me when I play, because of that. Let me ask you this, though, and I'm interested to get your answer. Years back, people would say to the men, you've got to watch the women professionals, especially their short game. God, they just roll the ball beautifully. They chip and they get it up and down, and you could really learn a lot from them. You remember people saying that. I don't think that's so true anymore, Jane.
I disagree.
In the sense that the men are so damn good at this now, you could watch the men and learn the same thing.
Yeah. I think that was a fallacy even back then. I think that was a default kind of, why am I watching the women?
Yeah.
When the reality is men should have been watching the women's golf swing to try to get the most out of their golf swing by watching the women. The fact of the matter is a lot of times short game, especially chipping, depending on where the ball is, requires strength. It requires strength. Sometimes it requires speed.
Right.
And putting is putting. It doesn't matter who you are, how you putt. Putting is not going to be done better by men or women. So I never agreed with that, ever. I don't think you could ever just watch a group and say they're going to do it so much better at all.
Do you think great putters could be made, or are great putters born, as they say?
I think there are people that are great putters born. I do think, because part of that is just the belief, right? There's so much to be said. Speaking about the psychological part of the game, I mean, putting is really, there's so much psychology behind putting. Yeah. There's not a whole lot. There shouldn't be a whole lot going on there, right? It's a very simple, short stroke, you would think. And by the way, you're talking to somebody who struggled their whole career with putting. So I know that how mental the game is. When I was playing my best golf, mentally, I was in a great place with my putting, which makes it's a trickle down to the rest of your game, right?
Sure.
You putt well, and everything else falls into place. And then the flip side of that, at times when I was putting poorly, how it affected my entire game.
Yeah.
And I'm the same person. I used to say, these are the same hands putting that putted last week really well. Why am I putting this poorly this week? So I think putting is such a, I don't know, it's just such a unique skill set all the way around. But there are players, certainly the players on the LPGA, that are just, and back even when I played, I mean, those are the ones I'm more familiar with, who were just great putters.
Yeah.
They just were.
Yeah. No. I agree with everything you said, and it just, as you know, being a good putter makes up for a lot of mistakes, from tee to the green, and it's very important. Ball and club technology in the past decade, as you know, Jane, has changed tremendously. Do you think the women professionals proportionately have taken advantage of that technology as much as the men players have? And secondly, why doesn't there seem to be an emphasis on manufacturing women's clubs, getting more excited about women's club? When you walk into a retailer, to buy a set of clubs for your wife, as there are for the men's clubs.
Mm-hmm. Well, to answer your question about the women taking advantage of technology, I think they have. I think, when you're at that level and you have access to any kind of equipment you want, if you don't take advantage of that, then you're missing, a huge advantage of playing on tour, because you should have the best equipment that there is. And
Totally.
I do think that the women have. I mean, that's, my point of the golf courses are playing so much longer. They're hitting it so much further. I think that they have. As it relates to women's clubs, the challenge there from the tour player's perspective is that women tour players don't play women's clubs. They play clubs, mostly, steel shafted, stiff shafted, clubs that most good male amateurs would be challenged to use. I mean, I can't even swing the clubs that when I played on tour, the clubs that I used and the shafts that I had in my equipment were, they were hefty. I mean, they're so heavy right now for me, and just so much that I can't, I can't even hit them even close to as well as I could ever.
Well,
Hit them before.
when you were back on tour back in the day, you were playing hickory shafts, weren't you? And got a percha?
I was playing wood. I came on tour with a wood driver, by the way. I was one of the first players to hit a Big Bertha driver.
Really?
Driver. So yes.
Oh, yeah. You were a wonderful ball striker. You really were. All right, we're up against another hard, short break. And when we come back and finish up, Jane, we're going to talk about the Legends Tour. So stay with us. We will be back very quickly. Hey golfers, I've been a golf talk show host for a long time, and I've been playing golf even longer. Being in golf media, I've had the chance to play every ball ever made. I've tried them all. Well, my search is finally over because I found the best ball I have ever played with, and more golfers are finding the same thing. I started playing with the Elixir golf ball made by Encore Golf. Encore Golf has revolutionized both their golf balls, the Elixir or the Avant 55, or the brand new Vero X1, to where the performance of either will simply blow you away. It did me. If you're looking for better performance and durability with your ball, Encore Golf has it. Don't just take my word for it. Check them out at encoregolf.com and you'll become convinced, as I am, the first time you tee it up with Encore. It's the best performing ball for the price. Go to encoregolf.com and see for yourself. Your scores will love you for it. That's ONCORE golf.com.
One of the buzzwords happening in golf is the word lag. You hear it all the time, but what is it, and how do I get it? Lag simply is the loading of the club to help produce tons of power in your golf swing. Up until now, getting lag into your swing has been very hard. Introducing the Lag Shot, a brand new proven training aid being praised by some of the leading PGA Tour instructors across the globe. This practice aid trains your hands, arms and body how to make a powerful, efficient golf swing with an amazing amount of lag. Lag Shot is a 7-iron length club with the same loft and lie with a whippy, flexible blue shaft and a beautiful jet black club head. After you master the Lag Shot, your game will change forever with a stress-free swing, more power and more distance with lower scores every time you play. Go to lagshotgolf.com and you'll see why this truly is becoming the #1 training aid in golf. Visit lagshotgolf.com.
Welcome back, and I never leave home without my Lag Shot to practice with. It's fantastic training aid. Anyway, we're back with our special guest, Jane Geddes. Jane, what's on tap for 2021 as far as the Legends Tour? Where are y'all going? What are you doing to promote this thing, and what's the overall plan?
Well, like I said earlier, so we had a little bit of momentum going into 2020. Had about 8 events that we were looking at, and some of them are still reconsidering for this year. A couple have gone away. So it's really just a matter of, like I said, getting out there and reminding people that we're still around.
Yeah.
Talking to people like you and having great conversations about, hey, what if we try to do something in Las Vegas? We have some interest in different places around the country, Buffalo, talking to people in Corning, New York again, and places like that, Phoenix, places that we had some great success. So For me right now, it's a matter of just continuing to get the word out there and, connect with as many people as I can.
Well, maybe you mentioned Buffalo. One of my title sponsors, Encore Golf, which makes great golf balls, are headquartered in Buffalo. They know everybody, so maybe we could make a
There we
connection.
go.
You know what I'm saying?
That would be great. We'll do that. Let's make sure that we do that, because I've got a really great group of people up there that are, Legend Tour players, fans, and they wanted to bring us up there to just entertain the community. That's really what we do great, Dennis, is, we come from the era of, not that the players don't now, because the LPGA has always been about the Pro-Am experience, but I believe that my era, the era that I played in, there's nobody that does it better. And, we bring such a great experience to the community that, again, it's just a matter of getting the word out there and, and letting people know that we're around.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to do that. Like I say, we're going to put our heads together and see if we could get you out here to Las Vegas, because I think it would be
awesome.
Absolute. And when we get an event out here, you have to promise me that I'm playing with you in the Pro-Am.
Deal.
Is that a deal?
Done. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna do that.
That's easy. That was too easy, Dennis.
That's easy, and then we'll work on Buffalo. I'm glad I didn't know that you were thinking about there, but done.
Yep.
We'll get you in touch with
Awesome.
with
That's
the right person. All right, I'm going to be in touch, and we're going to get you out here and set up a couple of meetings and get this ball rolling, because I know the people in Las Vegas would love to see some of the players on the Legends Tour, that people that they grew up with or they know about or they have a curiosity about, and we're going to do that. And I'm going to get you some Encore golf balls so you can finally get rid of those damn gutta percha balls, okay? And yeah, and we're going to do that. Anyway, Jay, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was great meeting you, great talking to you. We'll see you out here soon, and we're going to have you back on the show sooner than later.
Fantastic. Anytime, Dennis. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Jane Geddes, everybody, just was a wonderful, wonderful player and a wonderful gal. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers. I have been your host, Dennis Silvers. Hope you enjoy the show. We love bringing it to you, and we're going to be back. Same place, same time next week. So get out and play some golf if you can, and keep it in the short stuff. So long, everybody.